Hi, a very good morning to you, and thanks for joining us on our program today, Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. I'm Keisha Undi. Right here, don't forget that this program is just one special program where we bring to you trending stories all around the world, beginning with Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world. And I have with me still here someone special right here. And I always say she's one of the prettiest persons that you love to listen to over and over again. So please join us and welcome.
Good morning.
Lizzie, good morning.
Good morning, Keisha.
How's it been?
Yeah, very well. How was your weekend?
Very well. Yeah, okay. This is it was a weekend.
Yeah. There
All
was
right.
a weekend in between. You forgot?
Yeah, there was a weekend, and a lot of stories, a lot of things are still
Right.
happening, and Nigerians are still calling for their leaders to be responsible.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
more.
for now, that's all.
Yeah, it's more becoming like scripted, and to be shocking or to look at the whole story, the damage the Nigerian leaders at this time, what we are experiencing right here is much more than what the colonial masters actually did, what they did to Nigeria.
Yeah, I would say so, because the damage should be more, because we are all Nigerians, and these are Nigerians doing whatever it is. It happens to Nigeria, we are fellow Nigerians. You at least understand with the colonial masters that they were not us, they were not one of us. So all their aim was to exploit, exploitation, and so for us to, amongst us, do this to ourselves is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is, because you can be a Nigerian and still live as if you are a foreigner in your country,
Right.
and you just have few Nigerian leaders who feel that everything belongs to them. They have the veto power to have and to make decrees, policies, all. So it's still not
The
good enough.
same decrees and policies that work only in their favor. But
Yeah.
when it has to do with the general population, that's when they're active. But when it has to do with them, they are above the law. They are supreme to the laws of the land.
Well,
It doesn't go.
I love the narratives that are really coming up. Things are really changing. I'm just hoping the Nigerians will first of all, have a change of mindset when it has to do with the policies and the process with which we elect our leaders. This is really very important. And don't forget this program, we have a lot of young people, young Nigerians who always come around to discuss and talk about politics and trending stories. Today we have amazing people right here again. And of course, if you are just joining us, this is Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. All right, so let's begin with our guest here. On my immediate right is one young Nigerian, Mr. James Osheko. It's good to have you here, Mr. James.
It's my pleasure.
All right, how's it been?
Thank you. It's good.
All right, it's good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. James is the former SSA to Edo governor, and a political analyst. So we're really privileged to have him here right now. All right, so we'll move to my far right is one young Nigerian that you will also love to listen to. From his looks, you could tell a bit of who he is, but I don't want to get there right now. All right, so let's quickly welcome a young guy here. I'm talking about God's time, Idama Igele.
Thank you very much.
All right, good to have you here. Again, did I pronounce that well?
Yes.
Idama Igele.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's good to have you here. All right, let's begin with some of the stories. Lisbeth, it's heartbreaking, but we can just get into that. First of all, I'd like to also appreciate, I don't know if you guys will really join me to appreciate, we talk about the son of the president of Liberia, Judge Way. I'm talking about Timothy Way, who is actually doing so well and is among the players representing the United States in the FIFA World Cup right now going on. And of course, he made a way and scored his fourth goal at this very point in time. I'm talking about a president's son. How do we look at that with the Nigeria, a kind of Africa leaders mentality where their children seems not to contribute anything to the development of the country, to the economy of the country. Rather, they have this kind of a wasteful, attitude that doesn't count. Let's begin with you, Mr. James.
Yeah, it's a cheering news to see the president son from a country like Liberia.
Yeah.
If you look at where Liberians are coming from,
Right.
and we begin to see things like that, I think there's hope for that country.
Right.
Like you rightly said, in Nigeria, if you go to Nigeria, you do a different thing.
Right.
You see some sons of our elite driving power bike, power bike. They drive expensive cars.
Yeah, they practically
clubs.
do nothing. And
They
yet
do
are
nothing.
wealthy.
Yeah, they do nothing. They live above their means,
Yes,
or
they
their what they earn.
I think what the
Most of
Nigerian
them
president
earn nothing
is
at all.
inspirational
Right.
to the young people of that country and even to the entire citizen of Liberia,
Yeah.
which is good. We must learn from what is doing on the pitch there.
Right.
Nigerians too should come. We should come out. You use our resources to send their children to the best schools, but yes, those children are not. We don't see what they are contributing.
Or using our resources to send the children to school.
Yes.
Yet they don't add value
They
to
don't
where
add
the
value
resources
to
are taken
what,
away from.
So
Right.
I think it's good. It is good. How many of our elite children will even take up to show that patriotic spirit in this era of insecurity?
Right.
To even say I'm volunteering to ensure this is what we can do or what they can do to contribute to ensuring a safer Nigeria for all of them. They will not.
And they don't even talk to their parents. We've not seen them.
It's a culture from the parent to.
Concerning that story, there was a critic criticizing him and criticizing the father that considering the fact that Liberia didn't make it to the World Cup and that he was playing for another country, and behold, the president himself, that was the father, was celebrating that his son has scored. I said,
Well, the people who
what's
actually
that?
bring up that, I don't want to get it. Okay,
I mean,
let me hear God's time react to
Right.
that anyway.
Well, first, that's what caught my attention where I saw him on the lineup
Right.
for the color.
Right.
But then, if you look at it, Liberia is not actually in football. You have footballing nations,
Right. Yeah.
and where was fortunate, but then you could still tell that Liberia was not a footballing nation.
Right.
Even the US is not actually a footballing nation.
Right. That's right.
But then if you look at the heritage of how Liberia came to be and how Sierra Leone came to be, you find out that these were people who were turned back to create. And him going over there, if you follow his lineage, you find out that he has the lineage back in the years.
Yeah.
So it's actually a 50-50 thing for him. You can choose to play for Liberia,
Liberia, yeah.
or you can choose to play for US. We have it in football all over.
Right.
We brothers don't even play for the same country.
That's right.
Inako Williams and Ineke Williams, they are both going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Inako is playing for Ghana. Ineke, his younger brother, is playing for Spain.
Right.
Granit Xhaka and Kylian Xhaka,
Right.
they are both playing for, one is playing for Switzerland, one is playing for Albania.
Right.
So it's a normal something in football where you see, even the Pogba, one is playing for
Pogba, yeah.
Chile and one is playing for France.
That's right.
So it's all about your choice.
Yeah.
Boateng, Prince Boateng, Kevin was playing for Ghana. His other brother was playing for Germany. So it's all about where can you stand.
Okay. Now, God's time, let's quickly look at this because she mentioned the critics regarding some of the stories trending about the Liberians not making it to the World Cup, and the president was happy that, okay, the son is actually up there. But let's look at Nigeria. Sport development in Nigeria, where we are right now. We were meant to be in a World Cup. We messed it up, and a lot of stories. What do you perceive that Nigeria will look like in the next World Cup, at least 4 years from now? Do you think there will be this narrative of, okay, there will be no politics in football, let's give the coach, let's get a good coach, a coach that would uninterrupted power, torso, and the rest. Do you see that?
First and foremost,
Okay.
politics and football are like this.
All right,
Why I said so is because in Nigeria per se,
right,
in every sport, there's politics being played.
all right.
gone are the days where you look at full talent. You see that even talent
Yeah.
to select the coach is politics. You don't look at the coach based on merit, because we had an issue where you sack a coach who had already managed to structure the team of Nigeria.
Right.
Though they may have been on the bad one, but yet you could tell with Ignatro at helm of affair at that period of time,
Yeah.
he could have gone far. Now look at the Austin Eguavoen era. On the stadium, Austin Eguavoen was more distracted on the pitch.
That's right.
of play, because
That's
I
right.
was there first time. So this was a distraction which you could see, and it affected his lineups too. And with all those things in play, you can tell, it easily know that in other sports, politics may not be a factor. But when you look at the football aspect,
right.
these are where you have every agency, every client, everybody having their own players that have been sent abroad, and are still juggling for a way for them to get recognition in the first team. A quick example, our call-up for the Portuguese to play the Portuguese Premier League.
Right.
You had an Emmanuel Dennis who came up from the bench, most times from Nottingham Forest, being called up than the Taiwan who played every single match for Nottingham Forest. And you see where I'm going to with that.
I can
So
see
with that now, that just easily tells you that in football, you have to know how to pick the right players for the right positions.
Okay, that is without interruption.
Without interruption, but
Right.
now nobody, they don't give a free hand.
Alright.
If there's a free hand of players who you should pick, a coach has a pattern. And I keep on telling people, when you get a new coach, it's going back from square one. Because everything the other coach has done has been scattered. And now you have to go back, you have to look for people who fit your profile. And that's where you see now most advanced clubs in football, most advanced countries in football have sporting directors.
Alright.
Those sporting directors help in the picking and scouting of players that are needed. That's why you have scouts.
Alright.
Now your scout should be aligned with your profile and your style of play.
That's right.
If you're a coach that don't have a style of play, you cannot coach teams.
Okay, all right. Let me quickly hear Mr. James react to some of the stories before we get.
Well, I cannot but agree with you
All right.
to a large extent. I think what is happening in football is all the football is happening in other sector
Right.
of our national life.
All right.
And there's failure in all useless sector. Because when you look at it that there's no leadership or good leadership, every other thing will not work. From the sport ministry to the federation itself, that benefit with politics, a lot of what are we really have they we have not sit down to say what is the thing other people are doing that we are not doing. We really think, are we getting it wrong? Where are we getting it right? If we don't do something different from what we are now, 4 years time we'll still be where we are. Something must be done different from what we are. But Nigeria, year in, year out, they are done recycling with people, either maybe with all our color leadership without vision.
Okay.
This is not what it is in other.
So based on this,
Right.
their stories, which means that what affects the politics in Nigeria is still the same with those around, like they said. Well, before we,
Everything boils down to leadership.
yeah, just like what you said. Before we get up to the newspaper, there are some of these disturbing stories that I just feel we need to, the way Nigerians actually took responsibilities for some of the issues that are going on in the country. You know, we have this story of a young, beautiful Nigerian lady who was stabbed for 1 year and who died, who passed on. The story has it that in Yobe State, the husband locked the woman in the house, and for the past 1 year, this lady was not fed, and she was stabbed till she passed on a few days back. That sounds 1 year she was. Yeah, and when you see the picture, a very pretty lady, we sincerely apologize that we could not bring the story. That we hope if we have stories that will connect by tomorrow, we'll bring up the pictures to see how pretty and how good she was looking, and towards her last days on earth, how she looked and passed on. That is really disturbing. I'm just thinking that this mental health issue that Nigeria, the Senate overlooked.
So did they talk to the man? Did they ask him why he did have to do that?
Well, they are still on it. They are still on it. The husband will be charged to court, and he's going to get his lawyer to look. They want to really know what plays out.
So you said a period of 1 year,
A
right?
period of 1
Okay,
year,
so
according to
where
the
did you
report.
keep her? Where did
She
you
was locked up.
locked up? She had no family that
And
for her
what
in
was
the course of 1 year?
what was the environment like that she couldn't speak up for the 1 year when she was locked up? So a lot of stories we'll still get to find out, follow up the stories to know what really played out from there. And away from there, I also saw a video that is also trending regarding the presidential candidate of the APC. I'm just thinking that this time there are certain things that we don't need to waste our time to talk about. You know, where he was actually talking about his political party, and all he was talking about was action group or action party, and somebody who stood beside him had to be calling, it's APC. And this is the same, again, and this is the same person that young Nigerians who are who the system in place has not helped them to become what they're supposed to be, who cost a lot of things, and young people are still supporting this kind of, I'm not trying to be political this morning anyway, I don't know your view on that.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what to say because you just mentioned that if young people, young persons that were entrusted to stand up this time around, to ensure that 2023 goes well. Because really, we have been hammering on it. I will keep saying that if 2023 elections go wrong, then Nigeria is in for it.
Right.
And we don't want to see that. We don't want that to happen. Okay? And if the young persons that we are trusting, hoping that we'll be able to pick up the pieces of Nigeria, joining together, clamoring for someone like this, honestly, I don't know which way you're going.
Okay, we'll be getting into the newspaper shortly, but the last one before the newspaper, let's quickly look at this story about a few days back here. I think that was last weekend, a wedding that was supposed to be held. Actually was cancelled by the man when the man visited the Facebook page of the to-be wife and discovered. The story has it that the man canceled wedding after finding an old post by the bride-to-be on Facebook saying cheats on her husband for 1 million naira. Yeah, and that was an old person. But to her, she was just catching cruise, and she never believed that that can actually be. And for her, she was catching cruise, and now she's crying. Wow.
So the man stumbled into that.
Into the post,
she had posted earlier. Probably because before his relationship with her, and
probably
for that
before
singular reason, he decided to cancel the wedding.
To set the raining day. All right, gentlemen, what do you make of that? Let me quickly hear from.
I think I watched a similar video.
All right.
Like that online, where a man was on the roadside,
Right.
and was stopping every lady that was passing by,
Right.
and said, "If I offer you 20,000, would you mind to remove your dress?"
Okay.
And this particular lady said, "Just to remove dress?" He said, "Yes." "You mean just to remove dress?" He said, "Yes." And the lady fell for the offer, and she was already pulling off her clothes before the man interjected himself.
Okay.
So what we are saying is it's culture of material things. The young people now, we place so much value on material things, on money, than what it used to be in the past.
But now it's the culture we
Today you see people, you see young people doing Yahoo. Some people say there's one they call Yahoo Plus now. So
I don't want us to get into the Yahoo aspect, because if you look at it very well, when you talk of Yahoo, we have Yahoo politicians. That is where they kept us. That is why we've been pushed to this
But
level.
on this very one,
that
the lady had posted that I can fall for 1 million and all that. Yes, it is just a reflection of what the society has taught many of the young people.
So do you think the husband is justified?
But for me, if it's a past post, that's not a present one, I think it's not justified. All of us always have our past one.
God's time, what do you make of that?
Well, for me, I feel I agree with James on this, because you post something, we all post different things online, and sometimes it's just a post, but then sometimes the person you're meeting with, you can see it and take it to the other angle, maybe because of signs which may have been shown before now, and he feels, okay, if these are the signs which were here before we got together, and you have this post, maybe you can actually do this. So in order to save his face, and to have a face of not going into something that he's no longer sure of, then this. But then, I feel there should have been a sense of reasoning before you take such drastic decision when it's so close to the DD.
Right. So, Elizabeth, I think we can move over to the newspaper, right? All right. The trending stories today is just wonderful. One of the stories that I am so happy about is this story of Obi, the presidential aspirant of the Labour Party, said, I will be in charge of Nigeria. I think there's something missing. I'll be in charge of Nigeria if voted into power. Okay, Obi said, I will be in charge of Nigeria. Hold me responsible. That sounds.
Obviously, when he says that, that means when he's voted, because he's not presently the president of Nigeria.
Yeah, you know, there are some people who say that we are just waiting for the swearing in of Peter Obi. All right, so Obi is saying, hold me responsible. Is he trying to be political, or is real? Because we have a lot of political leaders who also say, you know, when I'm in power, please, you know, I will make sure that I carry you people along, and that will be the last day of you setting his eyes on me. Yeah.
Yeah, he went ahead to say that he won't give excuses as the president, but provide solutions.
Listen, I think we need to take this one after the other. I love this. He won't give excuses, but provide solutions. All right, let's get to find out from.
You know, this is season of politics.
Right.
You do not expect the presidential candidate to say, I will not go to be in charge. And you also will say, I'll be giving excuses when I'm elected. For me, there are certain rhetoric that are not for again.
All right.
You must go beyond this rhetoric during election campaign. If I take your mind back in 2015,
Right.
you not be accept more than what you are saying. The politics then was even bigger than what you are saying. Here we are. So I think Nigeria will need, maybe if we have a tracker that we can use to track what they are saying from their mouth, from their mind, so that we know whether it's genuine or not. Because we have Nigerians, we never lack a politician with promises over the years. That's right. But after we vote them, 4 years after, look as if we are worse for 4 years after than where we were before. So for me, I don't want to be sentimental to say maybe the goal is different from what it is in the past. Because the other candidate too, Atiku Abubakar, is offering his own. The presidential candidate of APC, Bola Tinubu, is offering his own. Kwankwaso is offering his own. Kwankwaso was in Lagos the other. It's a season of promises.
All right.
Promises.
What do you make of that, Gustine?
Well, we all see it is in campaigns.
Right.
Everybody, campaign is all about you selling yourself and selling your ideology. But when someone tells you you will be in power, everybody definitely assume that they will be in power. You cannot tell me Atiku does not want to be in power. He will not tell you he will not be in power. Same with Bola Tinubu, same with Kwankwaso. So all of them will definitely say they will be in power.
They will be in
charge, and they will be in charge. Definitely, it's part of the confidence. It's part of you selling yourself. But then the problem is not about you being in power. It's when you get to power. We have seen promises made. We have seen everybody in Nigeria actually complaining of different things and from different governments and different parties at that time. So you cannot really assure yourself that what the person is saying will be fully 100. So you just have to wait and hopefully you vote for the right person. Because even though you vote for the right person, and the person enters you, what if the person becomes the wrong person? Because the right person can only be the right person to you until the person starts working, or the person turns to the right person.
I love that.
Yeah, because you know, he's saying this because, like you have said, in the past, they all make all manner of promises, and we can't see how many percent of
see the promises
That have
fulfilled.
been fulfilled, exactly. So he's making it clear at this point that
You-
he is going to be different.
Yeah. You know, the last point he raised where he talked about getting into power, one of the challenges Nigerians are hoping about the Tinubu as candidacy is that when he was the governor of Lagos State, he was given the power and the opportunity. He took the powers and the opportunity and gave to the wrong people who now sells, markets Lagos State into their purse, into their accounts. So if such opportunity is given to him again to be the president of this country, definitely he's going to bring the same policies into the national, into the presidency, the federal government. And don't forget something he said a few days ago, that he is no longer on social media as a result of what is being said on social media, that if he continue on social media, he will be having a high blood pressure and the rest. And we look at that again. We're not trying to be partisans anyway, but this is giving a red flag, the kind of relationship that we'll have with some of these leaders when voted into power. In other words, when I am voted into power, there will be no communication between us. There will be no relationship between the leader and the electorate. So I'm thinking that Nigerians should take responsibility who actually deserve the office to get into the Axoro, that we can still say the Nigeria is ours. Because Lagos is not for Lagosian,
Right.
it's just for the few persons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know that during the APC, when they were campaigning, I think for the first time of President Buhari, I think
Yeah,
it was,
right, yeah.
there was somebody that came out to say that during campaign that if we fail you, if we don't do what we have said we will do, stone us.
Right, I remember. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected. That was the late Tony Momo. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's not the only person, because we also saw the same person, some other persons coming up to say the same thing. He stoned us. APC themselves, they say that loud and clear.
Yes, they said that.
Yeah.
So, getting back to what you were saying, how do you really know who is going to do
Okay,
exactly what
wait,
they
then
have
I
promised?
will
They are
start
going
by
to do?
responding to the issue you make reference to about Lagos State.
All right.
And you alluded that the people we appointed and they started, like they get you right,
Yeah.
they started taking money to themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that is relative. Because it depends on where it is, depends on the perception.
Yeah, the perception is coming from the aspect of taxes.
On a
that are-
personal note,
Yeah.
I have seen Lagos working.
Okay.
Because when you consider the influx of people to Lagos State,
Right.
you consider the population compared with the land mass.
Right.
I came from a state where crime is very high.
Right.
But in Lagos State, I think there is relative peace,
Right.
relative security. What we see in some other smaller states with smaller populations, we are never seeing it there. I've been to the Lagos State several times. I see how traffic lights are.
Okay, can I quickly
Now,
just say
now.
something? Can I quickly say something here? When we are talking about Lagos State, we're not talking about the Lagos State design and developed by Tinubu. The roads we are seeing in Lagos, they were right before Tinubu became the governor of Lagos State. What structures can you pick up in Lagos at this time to say it was actually during Tinubu's administration that brought that into power? That is really critical, because we walk out, we can't see that. If you are talking about the people in Lagos that actually maintain law and order is not the law enforcement. Everyone in Lagos is a security personnel, is security conscious. That is why when you get to Lagos, you have a different mentality. You take responsibility for your environment. Commit any crime, sometimes they don't even wait for the law enforcement to get there. They execute the judgment by jungle justice. So people become afraid of taking laws into their hand. So I don't know if you can itemize few things that we look back and say, okay, Tinubu actually executed this, without just picking up on few persons and say, we saw people coming out to speak for me. These are people that are even problematic to the society.
I don't want us to personalize this issue on Tinubu, because we are not, this program is not for Tinubu.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not. We're just looking at the individuals.
Lagos State,
Yeah,
very enlightened people.
that's right.
In all in the terms of education, exposure, everything. People of Lagos State are very enlightened.
Right.
In 1999, they elected Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
Right.
He defeated in 2003. When he was exiting in 2007, he has his successor in the person of Fashola.
That's right.
And Fashola won that election in landslide. When he was going, after 8 years of Fashola, Ambode came for 4 years, and that has been the succession.
And don't forget the tussle between Ambode and
it's
Tinubu.
politics. That is politics. For me, if in a democracy, if the Lagos people felt that Tinubu started this, whoever he does this, they are voting the person into power. That means he must. There must be something he's doing that the Lagos people appreciate, that we, from this or that side, are not seeing.
Well, we need to see, because we're talking about him
from
becoming the president now.
From 1999, that such a man was not a candidate, and the people keep succeeding in government, on and on. I think they are see, sir, why I am telling you this? Some of us come from states that nothing is working.
Right.
Nothing is working.
Like
not even traffic light.
Which of the
not
states?
even a street light at
Right.
night. In my own state, Edo State, I need you to take a visit to Benin at night.
Right.
Visit Benin at night. And if you are in Benin 6 years ago, go to Benin now.
And do you know that same Benin, if you happen to see, who is the governor of Edo State, Obasaki, right?
Yes.
If you see Obasaki happening to become, say, I want to contest for the president of this country, that is where we now talk about his pedigree. You understand? All right, before we really get to also hear from Mr.
We are rounding off this segment already, but I wouldn't want us to round it off without the World Bank to Nigeria.
All right.
It says it's still on petrol electricity subsidy cutting for Nigerians, according to the World Bank.
Right.
That's what it says. The World Bank report on Nigeria to fix its public finance to promote exclusive, sustainable development outcomes. So, what poverty, subsidies back to the news.
Well,
Even the international community are worried for Nigeria as long as the subsidy is concerned. Okay, let me just add, the bank's report further said that Nigeria needs to improve efforts to generate enough revenues by dealing with the challenge of low tax rates, poor utilization of tax bases, weaknesses in tax administration, and large deductions from revenues.
so,
Where are we headed?
well, it's still the same thing we're talking about here, having the wrong people in place, making policies for you. So this is not coming from Nigerians now, it's coming from international community.
Yes.
So you can now see to that. I don't know if any of you would like to react to that anyway.
The issue of subsidies. I think you see that subsidy will kill Nigeria, Nigeria will kill. Subsidy. Because the kind of figures you hear,
Yeah.
that are being used to subsidize our affairs. And experts have come, even at many public hearings at the National Assembly, to say, no, these statistics are not correct. That the kind of consumption, the quantity, the meters, millions of meters being
Consumed by Nigerians.
that is not true.
I remember Sanusi, the former governor of CBN governor,
yes,
who also,
Emir. Yes.
Emir of, yeah.
So we cannot continue like this. We cannot continue like this by spending so much of our legal revenue in subsidy. We must go and revamp that sector. Let us know the actual consumption. Nigeria, we heard of our neighboring countries, where our oil is being shipped to those areas, and we are told that they won't add them up into our own. A ship will bat in Nigeria before you know it is in the neighboring country. So this idea of subsidy payment is eating us. Is eating into Nigeria deeply. Our revenue is shrinking every day. Insecurity, low economic activities, poor tax administration, like we reported and yet we take this small revenue to questionable subsidy payment. So it's about leadership.
All right, let's quickly hear from Gostam. What do you make of some of the stories?
Well, for me, I feel the issue of subsidy, it's has been a lingering issue for so long.
Yeah.
We have not actually found a way to tackle it. And they also mentioned our light system too. And when you look at the light system, you find out that if you even go to our power plants, we will have many power plants where you see different lines. You find out maybe only one is working.
And that is for Nigeria.
Finance for Nigerians alone. And now this is another annoying sector. We have had our grid just this year 4 more times in the last 3 years. We have had the grid failure over and over again. You wonder what is wrong with our power sector. They said the way out was privatization. That we did. And now we don't have maintenance from our private sector. But yet the light tariff keeps on going up. Now you find out that some people, if they're not using a prepaid meter and they're using a cumulative bill where they just give them bill and they pay, they're paying up to 20,000 per month for NEPA bill alone. And you wonder if someone is earning a minimum wage of 33,000 and you take out 20,000 to pay for just NEPA bill, you're left with 13,000. What will your 13,000 back for you? When, as far as we have subsidy,
and you have other responsibilities.
As far as you have subsidy in the country, definitely foodstuffs will go up because they'll tell you there's not enough transportation. When you buy a petroleum high, you have to buy other things high to cost transportation, coupled with the bad roads again you have. So with all those things involved, you find out that you'll spend more than half of your money just to pay for a NEPA bill, and light that will not even be constant 247. So with that, the WHO coming out, the World Bank coming out to say that we have that the revenue is high and everything, it's not far from the truth. But then there needs to be a check on it to know how the subsidy is happening, where are the revenues going to. There needs to be a footmap where you locate everything as it's going, because you cannot just tell me that it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. It's going up. Why is it going up? What are the reasons? These are the questions which are meant to be answered. Because if they're not answered, they're dragging the economy back.
All right, thank you so very much. All right, it's been an amazing time having August Time and Jen Osheku right here on this program. We'll be talking about the trending stories in Nigeria and outside this country. Well, we'll be going on a short break. When we return from there, we'll look at a very wonderful subject matter that will take us to the end of this program. Well, the subsidy has been one of the subject matter that people keep going back to talk about over and over again. We remember in 2015 where the present administration was actually canvassing their way to get into ASURUP. They said something about this. Well, subsidy was a scam, according to them. And today, we have subsidy legalized and been played around and is becoming more like laughable stuff in Nigeria. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
Television Nigerian is one of the leading giants in Nigeria's digital broadcasting. We deliver quality productions to clients from all sectors of life. We are experts in program streaming, event coverage, news reporting, adverts, documentaries, personality profiling, skits, and jingles. You can advertise now on Television Nigerian network platforms or sponsor programs like The Patriot, Spectacle, Business Daily, Security Dossier, and other programs. To publicize your business from ground state to the zenith, we have the capacity to introduce, promote, and publicize your businesses to increase patronage. We associate with quality to attract clients like you. Television Nigerian is your media solution. Television Nigerian is one of the leading giants.
All right, it's good to have you back on our program here, Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Well, having amazing people here talking about the stories, trending stories within and outside Nigeria. Well, we begin this morning with some of the stories, the narrative in Nigeria. And we are asking ourselves so many questions this morning. Who is the right person, the right candidate that will be able to take Nigeria out of this mess where we are, to give us at least something closer to where we're supposed to be? And of course, away from there, we'll be looking at the subject matter to, ensuring violence-free campaigns in Nigeria. And of course, we're having a lot of stories coming out from this. Elizabeth, I remember a few days back we had some stories, and don't forget that the court is also, the court tribunal is also having over 600 cases of election
Still pending.
is still pending, and of course we are beginning to have a lot of violence breaking out even prior to the campaign season. I don't know what this will make if we are going to ensure that we don't have violent campaign. I don't know.
Yesterday in Bombay again, we reported that
Right.
there was violence again yesterday after the Democratic Party went to have the campaign immediately after. According to reports, it was after the entire thing was done, after the Black Beret presidential candidate had just left, then we broke out. But I was wondering, is it not becoming too many for PDP? If you remember in Kaduna, we had issues, Borno. Yeah, we had issues, and again, yesterday they had issues. What's going on with them?
I think there's so much power that the masters give to the supporters, and the supporters can't really hold it back now. It's just like a bullet. Once we trigger, once released, you can withdraw. You can hold it back. Like spoken words. Once spoken, you can recall what you have said. That's what they've done. And this time, it will take something bigger, different strategy to really ask them to shield their sword and make sure that things work out in a better way.
And if you remember, even the one that happened where this person from the police came out to say that it was false, and the IG had to he came out too soon to say that why not investigate? Have we had any positive?
There was no reporting.
Any reports
That was the end of
concerning that investigation? That's the challenge we have in the country. That's the problem. Things happen, and we are told that the investigations are ongoing, and that's the last thing.
And that will be the last report.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, we have this. How do we ensure free and fair election? But before the election, ensuring a free campaign, free violent campaign, because we've seen a lot of reports already coming in. Let me begin with you, Mr. James.
Okay, the issue of violence during elections really start now. And it's unfortunate that almost every election season we continue to struggle on that part. From history, we are told the 1965 election, the year after the election, there was a violence that violence led to January 15th Cold War in 1966. After then, some lives were lost. We are told about people got to be people that during that process. You fast forward to 1983 again, right? There was election of violence, but that violence led to the military. So yes, military coup then. Up to after 1983, also in 1993, when the election that was adjusted to free and fair SDP was annulled, there was violence, even ransom. Beko Kukuchi, who was of the campaign for democracy, reported about 100 people were killed in the street of Lagos and other part of Nigeria as a result of that incident. Up to 1999, 2003, it's really a recurring decimal. This violence took place either before election, some immediately after the election, and so many factors are responsible for it. Right? Because before you say, how can we avoid it? Let's find out those things that led causing this violence. First is for you to have a violence-free election, let the election be free and credible and fair. Let the will of the people reflect in the result released. Any attempt by the electoral umpire to tinker with a result, there will always be violence after the election. We see violence in Burkina Faso in 2014. We see one in Burundi in 2015, and many other places. Even in Sierra Leone, we were all violence that erupted as a result of election result that the people are not satisfied with.
And not having the people's
Yes.
mandate.
Even in 2023, the mood of the nation now is that the will of the people must count. Any attempt to tinker with it will precipitate violence.
All right. Let me quickly get to Gustav. What do you make of?
Well, for me, I feel election, or people actually feel election is just the voting. But then election is actually divided in three places. You have the pre-election, the election, and the post-election. Now, the violence that you see with the post-election starts from the pre-election.
That's right.
Now, the pre-election, why it starts from the pre-election, that's the campaigning period, is because the voters are already feeling triggered. And how do they feel triggered? Either from their candidates, when the candidates make some words of them, maybe giving that the election is going to be rigged or something. And this comes from the signal which the electoral umpires give them. If the electoral umpire is not giving them the right signal, then automatically they feel that the election is going to be rigged. And this comes to the fact that the statements which we use or the campaign platforms they use, they should also be mindful of their statements too. Because human beings remember what you say. And that's where the social media, unfortunately now we have the social media, which is a very big source of campaign, but can also be a very big instigator for violence.
Right, that's right.
Because if you don't know what you say on air, and you don't tailor what you say, people reading it can read your meaning word for word. And when they read your meaning word for word, it triggers things. You remember when 2015 when Buhari got into power, the major reason why the violence was not an outburst rate was because of one phone call. So imagine if that phone call did not come in, and after the election, Jonathan decided to start saying, I will not take the vote, I will not do this, I will not do that. Election crisis will start again, and then there will be killings. So what you do in your pre-election, it leads up to your election. And in that election again, you find out that the day of election, you have violence. It has been a recorded fact that almost every election now, like James said, if you go back down the history lane and memory lane of Nigeria, we have had one issue or the other, one death or the other. You cannot do an election in Nigeria without recording some few amounts of deaths. And that also boils down on our security agencies. What are they doing? How do they take themselves during the election process too? Because you find out that at the point the security agencies were used as tools to perpetrate electoral malpractice. And with that in mind again, when people see the security agencies coming there, they don't feel at peace. When you see your security agencies, they are your electoral umpire, you feel okay, this election is meant to be free and fair. But with the way the history has painted them, they see the military coming for election, you see the police coming, you see the civil defense coming, you see the INEC officials coming, and you're wondering, INEC officials are there, police are meant to be there. The way you see the military, you're wondering, what are the military doing here?
Okay. All right. Let me return back to Lizzie. You heard what the two gentlemen here said. I think we're getting about to our plates now to find out basically what we can do at this moment as a country, what institution can help at this point in time, because we're looking at INEC, and most Nigerians are saying, okay, INEC, they are already compromising. We're looking at the police to be there. How many police do we have in Nigeria to look out for? And of course, even if we have, how many of these policemen can actually say, okay, this is what the will of the people says. We want to really stick to that. Also have the president talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, who is calling on the military into the system that don't supposed to be, they don't supposed to be part of it. I don't know what your...
Well, when it comes to the campaign violence, it's actually really, when you look at it right now, the atmosphere
Is there
it's
charged?
It's very highly charged. People are hungry. There's poverty. don't forget that most times when these campaigns are held, a lot of the crowd you see come there, really, most of them are not there to really hear what the candidates have to tell them. They are there to see if
What we get to mean.
if they get anything that will just put a meal on their table, to see if the money will be shared, or crowd will be bought, like the politicians do. Most times those crowds are bought. They pay them. These are not speculations. These are what we have.
And our problem, one is that just like what we talked about, do you know in Nigeria the aspect of investigating a matter regarding our security agencies is completely eroded from the system.
Right.
You don't have to wait. If you have political rallies and you discover that there was violence breaking out at the point, what happened? Who are the people? Where the location of the rally? Who was there? What happened that led to this violence? You start picking up some information that at the end of the day you can see the handwriting that this person is from the opposition party or is from the party within, and a lot of things.
Yeah, it could be as a result of that opposition issues, party issues.
Yeah.
It could be ethnic.
Right.
Probably the person is not from the locality from where the rally is being held. Ethnicity issues, tribal issues could also lead to that. Then again, when they feel okay, they are speaking a lot of English, they are talking, and they haven't said for those that were expectant, they have come there to see what they could get to away from that gathering that day, and they are saying that it's not happening, or even to the extent that it's completed and they are leaving and nothing is coming up. So you see them create
getting
chaos.
angry, getting upset with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Then when you talk about who is supposed to be in charge, who is supposed to
who is taking responsibility
for all of this. Police as a mentor. This has nothing to do with INEC. These are not the duties of
and we also need to remember that the police are also there's either somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody's father.
Right.
That is one of the things. I love what Mr. James said regarding this, when the will of the people is not reflected.
It's not even only about the will alone.
All right.
Because the president, the CNC,
right,
has a role to play. We want to ensure a violent-free election. In
election.
fact, he has the most serious responsibility. His body language, his actions, his statements. Well, I will give it to the president about months ago. He said that election must be free and fair. I think we should hold the president to his word. We will not allow any other state actor, non-state actor, to interrupt the electoral process. The president has a role to play. We want to ensure a violent-free election. The INEC have also said, the electoral body have said, the security themselves, security agency, the civil defense, the DSS, which other ones? The police. I am not always
the police and
yes.
civil defense.
Now, most of the violence that takes place during election or after election does not start that day. It starts days before it. I don't like the culture where on the election day, that day you mobilize hundreds of policemen going to our community polling center. No, let's send them there ahead.
This is really
now. If you send them ahead, the non-state actors who are profiling arms and other violence material will be contained. They will not have that space to do it. But if you bring security agents on election day, when those actors are stockpiled arms
already on ground,
already on ground,
you
do little. What can you do? So apart from that, the political parties too have a role to play. When a political party does not have a manifesto, or your manifesto does not sync with the people, or people do not sync with your manifesto, and you want to win at all costs, these are areas where politicians begin to arm people. They are supporters for violence. But I must win. I must also de-emphasize the rewarding system in our politics.
Right.
It is seen as too lucrative. A situation where the winner takes it all, Then the loser lose almost everything with his supporters. Now people want to do a do or die to ensure they get it. Because people felt when you get power is an access to wealth now.
Yeah.
So people declare all sorts of things. But if we make our democracy like what we see in advanced countries like the UK, you see Liz Truss. She doesn't have problem to resign within 45 days. She tender her resignation and step aside.
All right, let me
that cannot be seen in a Nigerian context where so much is inside it. People will do everything to ensure I get to power, whether lives are lost or not. It doesn't.
For the fact that their families are saying.
We need a reform in these areas too.
All right, let me quickly get from you. He talked about the president saying we'll have a credible, free and fair elections. Well, let me quickly find out. Do you see the body language of the president in consent with his words? Does the actions of the president match his words to make sure that happens?
Well, it's not all about the president saying we have a free and fair election.
All right.
It's more about what are the things being done to ensure a free and fair election. And why did I say this? Because, like you said, non-state actors are already in place, working out strategy. Some of these people, they know, okay, we will lose some states. It's better to cause mayhem here and let everybody call the state votes unavoidable. It's good they have beavers now which record the votes and send it straight to INEC. And INEC too, they actually made an initiative committee which has all the security agencies to work together for the benefit of this election. But with that in place, you still have people who, like she said, in campaigns, they actually cause mayhem to expect something. Why people come here to expect something before the election is because they have been promised something. People don't come for election without being promised something. People don't come for campaigns without being promised something. They come for that campaign. Yes, they may like the candidate, but then they can say, okay, we like the candidate, day of election, we'll go and vote. But they come for the campaign in expectation of what they will get. And when they don't get those things, the security agencies are not there for the people. The security agencies are there to protect the high-profile elites who came for that campaign. So when they see those people are secured and they move them out of the stage, whatever you do does not concern them. Now it's left for the coordinators who brought the so-called groups of people to come and show the presidential candidates or the candidates of all for the senatorial or everything that you have people to settle that people. And when they cannot do that, it leads to another outbreak. But back to the election itself, these issues of election, if you bring the security people on time, now the question is, who are the security people working for? We have it in states that the security agencies and security people tend to work for the state government. And find out that in some states, people of those states actually find it hard to vote free and fair election, and that's where they get triggered for electoral violence. Electoral violence does not just start because, okay, but electoral violence starts from the issues and the signals which have been put by those security agencies also on ground. So if the president says, okay, we're going to have free and fair election, and he goes to his village, Laura, and goes to vote in his polling unit, and it's free and fair there, he will tell you it's free and fair. From his own point of view, he got a free and fair. Okay. When the vote was counted and he got everything. But where you go to different states, and you find out that most of this outbreak are mostly in the southern parts and in the north, up north, not too far up north. You have people wondering, why are these crises why do they keep on reoccurring? They keep on reoccurring because, like he said, you put your whole heart in the election, and the system does not reward the second runner-up. It only rewards the first person. So whoever crosses that line first is the winner. So every other person is juggling for them to be the one to cross that line first, and they don't care by which means, and that's where the violence grows up.
I think the aspect where you said whether we hold the president to his word, I think from we have had 3 off-season election in Anambra, in Ekiti election. I think to a large extent, yes, we may not have a 100% expectation from these areas. I think to a large extent, those elections they were military free and fair under the watch of this president. In Anambra was won by Abga. Yes, Abga is a ruling party. There was no cases of what we see in the past where federal forces were deployed to intimidate voters, violence, and all that.
And again, do you think allowing the Abga to win was something that the president has to do, or because the APGA has the will of the people over there, and if you try to interrupt that can actually amount to something that that will be out of control.
The CNC is very powerful. The commander-in-chief can deploy soldiers at his will, based on our
talking about the military.
System. Yes, the military, rather. But that was not seen in Anambra, was not seen in Ekiti, was not seen in Osun. The three parties won in this respective state. Abga was taken by Abga won Anambra. APC won the second one in Ekiti. Another officer in the election, the last one, that is in Osun, was won by PDP. I think in all of this, we must give kudos to the president that there were no interference of the security apparatus in this election. If we can enter 2023 with what we did in these three states, we'll have a relatively free and fair election.
You see, state elections are way different from presidential elections, and that's why, like I said, it's not only, even though the president does not push for the military, how do the state governors run the election? Because remember, there's a level of security agencies that are under the state government, and if they push them towards it too, it can cause another problem for the state. And if the president, because we have it with good authority that the military will also, we are training towards a peaceful election, and if you bring the military there, you've seen some people see the military in some polling units already sends bad signals for them, because they feel that the government wants to intimidate them, and with that alone, some people may get triggered. So with that military involvement only, some people get triggered. But then we do not have enough police officers to circulate throughout the whole 36 states plus the FCT. And we have, in every state, we have many wars which needs to be observed well.
Okay. All right.
It may interest you, Bishop, to know that I think that sometime last week the president came out to make a statement that during the elections, anyone caught stealing, carrying ballots, when caught, will be killed.
Should be killed.
Right, should be killed. And a lot of people came out to say that that was harsh from the president, that was very indicting, and whatever it is, yes, there are other ways he should have presented that rather than outrightly saying that such people should be killed. And do you know that there's something called the electronic vote buying going on right now? Are you aware? The coalition of United political parties came out yesterday complaining that, rather raising an alarm that the electronic vote buying is ongoing, most especially in the southeast. You know, people come in with different groups, with different names, telling the people either in agriculture, agricultural forum membership, or different arms anyway, collecting names, phone numbers, account details, and BVN and all that. You know, it's ongoing right now. So tell me, if we have the electoral bill that we are trusting in, that it's going to work, it's going to reduce it to a very great deal, this malpractice. Now, this electoral vote buying, why are they collecting names, phone numbers, account details, and BVN of people?
No. I think we may be taking vote buying to the extreme.
Another level.
Yes, if we said that people who want to empower their people, I am not holding brief for anyone, collect data of those people. And the election that is about 3-4 months ago, if we say one party because no party is measure now. Is guilty of collecting a name.
Yes.
And this that means all the parties are
guilty. Right.
But for me, it's an election season. You don't blame the people, because some of them they will not see these elected people until another election season.
Another 4 years again.
And if it is through the empowerment of maybe 5,000 naira into their accounts, we call it empowerment or
but that's selling. They're selling their votes because
no, that is why we are taking the issue of vote buying beyond the contest. It's that's a politician or somebody running election. For me, I don't see anything wrong if you have the resources to empower your people.
There are a lot wrong. You take account details. You talk about, that's not how to do empowerment.
No.
Account details and take their BVN, take their voters card numbers.
Yeah.
What do you need that for?
Lisbeth, one of the things we also need to look at is who is this person coming to give the electorate whatever money they're giving? What has been the relationship with the electorate before this time?
Exactly.
Why now?
Why now?
You don't care about the citizens until when you show up, you have a candidate of your choice, and your candidate is telling you it's either we win or we win, and you go out there and start, trying to show yourself, and you know very well that after this very season,
that's it.
You can't find these people again. But when we know that our time is really running out, but we're talking about election violence to ensure that we have a free campaigns free of violence, free of thuggery and the rest. We again, Wike is still acting, like the Godfather. Well, let me not use the language I was going to use. Here we saw the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, pledging support again for Kwankwaso, logistics support for Kwankwaso. And that already is giving a lot of people misconception of what he meant, because he's still the same person giving the other person, giving Peter Obi his support, and at this point in time, giving. And again, I'm
sure if the SDP will go there, he will do the same.
He will just do the same.
Well, in my opinion, I think that's just because he doesn't want the PDP to win presidential in Rivers State. So
yeah, but
he doesn't really care whoever wins the presidential election in Rivers State.
From my own point of view, Wike should be commended.
All right.
Because we don't need to do this enemy factor in the election season. PDP, I cannot relate it. Labour Party, I cannot relate with this. What Nyesom Wike is doing is what other politicians should do. Right. You may not like the way he's doing it. For me, it's my man of the year in politics.
All right.
Because one, this is a man who will come. So yes, we are in Labour. He made a statement to His Excellency Peter Obi and said, I will give you logistics, but you will not win one seat in this place. Kwankwaso also said, okay, do we now, if Nyesom Wike has said, I'm not going to give you stadium, like Obi came to my own state in Edo, he was not given a stadium he applied for to use. That's not the kind of political atmosphere or environment or signal we should create before the election time. In this some case, I will give you logistics, I will give you place, I will provide cash for you, I will provide support for you. I think it should be commendable than this antagonistic way we are doing our politics. If somebody is in the other party is your enemy, you cannot really relate with him. Let's commend Governor Wike.
Okay, as we get closer to the wrapping up, we also saw Kwankwaso here telling Atiku that, well, if you must be the man of the people, make sure that you have Lagos State, Rivers State, and Kano. So any politician who is out of this state should not consider himself being, the people, the victory that cannot win 23. All right, let me quickly hear your last words on this segment.
Well, for me, what Kwankwaso said is not far from the truth. Because you find out for PDP, the success of the election has been that Rivers State has always given them a chunk of the vote for almost every election. And Lagos State has actually been controlled by the APC. So we find out that these two states have their people already there. And for Kano, it has been either a PDP or the APC. And it's mostly a tug ahead movement between both of them. Where you find out that one wins this time around, the other will win. I will have them mostly Kano, Katsina, Kebbi. These states bring a big amount of voters registration and all that during the election time. And you find out that when these states come in, the vote comes in billions. And anybody that wins in millions of people. So definitely these are the states which they should look out for. But then for the main issue of round of campaign is all about the people who are campaigning to be able to help the election to be fair and fair. Right. And with that, that gives the opportunity for them to have a free election without violence.
I think on that issue of Kwankwaso, I think Kwankwaso is speaking directly to Atiku,
right?
PDP. Yeah. That you cannot win 2023 election, you are fighting Governor Wike in Rivers State. Lagos State, you are not one lead Lagos State since 1999. Kano State, where he comes, he can beat his chest that he will, to him or he will win. Yeah. So the question is, Atiku, PDP, where are you now hoping to win your election from? I think the message is for Atiku.
All right, we just have this last one here before we walk out of the studio. Ganduje again part of making some story to train, talking to Atiku, calling Atiku, rather Kwankwaso to a march, a challenge. So, and he's telling Kwankwaso that, right, well, we need to have a march, a march towards Tinubu rally. So, I don't know what that means. Is it going to be like words, a battle of words? Or because when we look at all these stories, that is where the violence sometimes erupts from, with their words, the kind of choice of words, in a political. We have it that Kwankwaso is a presidential candidate, and there is no doubt about that. But equally, we are on ground, and many of his people are now in our political party. That is from Ganduje. So he's calling in for a debate before the
debate with him, Ganduje?
Yeah. So they need to talk public.
An open debate. So why would Ganduje want to have an open debate with Kwankwaso when he?
No, I think what Ganduje is trying to say that for Kwankwaso, you are not popular in Kano like you are saying. Yes, I give it to you as a presidential candidate. Go and take a walk at the streets. Go and organize a rally in Kano. Let us see how much of followers you get. Right. In that statement, Kwankwaso said, Ganduje said most of his followers have returned back to the APC. Oh. You remember that Kwankwaso has traveled in APC up to PDP before his NNPP now. So I think what...
So his followers are...
Yes, he said most of followers are in APC. Ganduje is challenging Kwankwaso. If you say you are popular, I give it to you, yes, good, you are...
Let's see how
come and tell that popularity. He is saying that his party is the party to beat in Kano State. That he has the people. And Kano is going to be very interesting because you have all the three actors now in different parties, the leading actors. Senator Kwankwaso, who is a presidential candidate in NNPP. You have the Ganduje, the sitting governor in the APC. You have the other former governor. What is his name? The man in PDP now, former governor of Kano State. So you see the three of them are all in different parties, which has not happened before. In 2019, Ganduje and former governor who is succeeded were together in APC. But now that one are taking his exit to PDP, while Kwankwaso moved to NNPP. I think Ganduje felt that as a ruling party, he had his structure everywhere. And the event of this party has actually shown that Ganduje has a lot of followers who have seen rallies. Even a few days ago, we saw the son of the presidential candidate of the APC, Sheyi, who led a massive rally in Kano State. I think all these are part of the thing that Ganduje is going to challenge Kwankwaso. Come and do your own, let us see. Kano is an interesting place to watch out for.
Okay, finally, I will consult Peter, or I will consult Soludo in addressing Nigeria's challenges. Peter. All right, Mr. James, on a final note, what do you make of this? Is it like... let me quickly hear from that side first of all.
It's a very funny one because Soludo has come out to attack Peter Obi in some instance. I will see Peter Obi's response to him. and he still calls him his brother. So definitely,
You think that that brotherhood is political?
I think everything is political. Politics is who gets what, when, and how. So definitely, everybody needs something at this moment. And you know, it will not sit well when you, as a, you know, from your own state, you're having an issue with your own governor, and who you people are meant to be brothers, and who is meant to be giving you that backing, but no, he's not giving you. So it's something that you have to wash away, and someone has to be the bigger person to settle it. And this is where your leadership skill comes into power. If you cannot fix your own house, how then can you fix Nigeria's problem? And that's what he's trying to do there.
Okay. All right.
I think we must give it to Peter Obi that he has the temperament, he has the maturity, and that is what is expected of the leadership. Even the statement is given by Soludo, the governor of Anambra, was very acidic, hot. And in typical Nigerian politicians, you expected that Obi would have fired back in equal measure, even hotter. But no, he came out, respected like professor, I am a trader. That is a statement of humility. And it downs down tension that would have arisen from that statement. And further, from this he has said that he will consult Soludo if he got president. It is good. It's good. It's not the type who said, because you criticized me a few days ago, you are my enemy. If I win, I'm going to send you to jail. I'll have nothing to do. I think in terms of temperament, Peter Obi has it. All right. We need that in the leadership.
All right. Thank you so very much. Ms. Beth, that is where we should be drawing the curtain of today's program. I don't know what will be your last words for.
Simple, quit with all the campaign violence. We have a mission to save. So everybody violence.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. James. Thank you, Mr. Godstein, for being part of this program today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and we're looking forward to being together again tomorrow. All right, thank you, viewers. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow on this very program, this platform, for another fresh segment on Keisha in the Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.